Okay. So shall we go on? Yes. So as I was saying, about a year ago, we all heard of this shocking mishap that Taral and his wife Punita experienced. And yes, I mean, there was a big question in front of all of us as to what is going to happen. I'm sure the same question was in the minds of Taral and his wife. So friends, life does throw surprises at all of us, some good and some bad. When a spina bifida child is born to very, very suddenly and unknowingly, unexpectedly to young parents, that is also a bad surprise thrown at the family. And when we are faced with such surprises that life throws at us, it is how we face these challenges that makes us. It is not the challenges themselves, but it's how we react, how we face these challenges that determines what happens. Of course, when faced with challenges like this, which are medical, then family, friends, support groups, access to good medical care, and the society as a whole can make a big difference to an individual's capacity to face such challenges. And as we continue to follow Dr. Taral's journey over this past 1 year, his determination, his grit, the efforts that he took seem so similar to what spina bifida individuals go through during their life, and that happens right from their birth. So there were a lot of similarities between what Taral experienced in this past 1 year and what spina bifida individuals and families experience right from birth. Of course, albeit with some differences. Dr. Taral has also been an integral part of treating so many spina bifida patients since many, many years. And he has been a part of their journey through surgeries, through rehabilitation, through physiotherapy, counseling, through CIC, and so on. And now in this last 1 year, he himself went through these experiences and through the nitty-gritty that these efforts really involve. And therefore, the foundation felt that it would be of great, immense value to all of us to hear about his experience, especially because we could say that he's looked at life from both sides now. So with this short introduction to today's webinar, we are going to proceed with our conversation with our dear friend, Dr. Taral Nagda. At the outset, let me introduce himself and also people who are going to be talking to him today as panelists. That is Dr. Snehal, Deshpande, and Chandana. Taral is been known to all of us, to many people who are on who have joined today. Taral is a known person, but for those who don't, let me introduce him a bit formally. Taral is a pediatric orthopedic surgeon of national and international repute. He did his schooling and college education in Mumbai, in central Mumbai, and then pursued his entire medical career from the prestigious KEM hospital. Then as a practicing pediatric orthopedic surgeon, he has been affiliated to almost most of the big hospitals in town. He has been a much sought after consultant, presently active in the SRCC Children's Hospital and the Jupiter Hospital in Thane and Hinduja Hospital. Taral has been associated with our foundation as one of its very early founding members. and has been a part of the core committee of the foundation for all these years. He has played a vital role in the development and progress of the foundation. Apart from the Spina Bifida Foundation, he also is associated with ADAPT, with Impact, with the Bidada Charitable Trust in rural Gujarat, and a few other charitable organizations. As I mentioned before, Taral has been a man with wheels on his feet. He's widely traveled. He's a creative person, a busy bee, and somebody who takes to charity quite naturally. So we will look forward to having this great conversation with him. Let me also introduce my fellow interviewers, Snehal Deshpande, again a pediatric physiotherapist of great repute. She is now a neonatal and developmental physiotherapist of national eminence, runs 8 excellent centers for pediatric physiotherapy, and founder of the SNEH group of centers. A very dynamic person, an excellent organizer, excellent physiotherapist, but also a great entrepreneur. And I have always admired that entrepreneurial quality in Snehal. She also has been integral part of the Spina Bifida Foundation and has been a great pillar of support for the foundation for all these years. Snehal is a person of great aesthetic sense and lately has also taken to spiritual training. She is a recognized spiritual trainer with heartfulness, and that's why I understand how the mind also plays an important role in the rehabilitative process. Then another person who's one of our interviewers is a younger person, Chandana. Chandana is someone who was born with Spina Bifida. She lives near Hyderabad and has been an increasingly valuable member of the foundation since the last 4 to 5 years. She is a commerce graduate and is now pursuing a master's in finance. The foundation was introduced to Chandana's various talents when she won the best essay prize that the foundation had organized some time back. She also is a painter and runs an art site that sells and donates art. So Chandana, a person of many talents, will also be interacting with Dr. Taral. So with these brief introductions, before the conversation, I'm going to request Chandana to please share a short video.
Yes, sir. Just a moment.
I've looked at love from both sides now. I've looked at love from both sides now. From give and take.
This is the guy, 4 weeks, and which was violence.
I recall, I really don't know love.
5, 6,
Really
7,
don't know
8,
love at all.
6, 7.
What is the speed?
Tears.
That was really nice, Chandana, and thank you for putting it up together. So let's begin our conversation with Taral. So Taral, I'm going to ask you first to give your initial remarks and also tell us briefly about the mishap that you and Punita experienced and your immediate thoughts at that moment, and also the immediate care that you got and how did it happen. So sorry, I know it's a traumatic kind of experience, but maybe we would like to hear from you a bit about it.
Santosh, so let me say that people know about their friends and what people talk about you and how much they value you generally after the death. When you die, people will talk about you and you are not even there to listen to it. Now, I had two opportunities where I know how much I've loved, what people think about me. One was, of course, 1 year back during my accident. People from India, the doctors, patients, therapists, community at large, people from across the nation, they prayed for me. And that's why I'm back to what I am. And second is today, because we had a webinar and it's packed. And these are the times when you know how much people love you, and thanks everybody who's present here for the love, prayers, and emotions they have shared with me. This accident actually happened almost a year back on 19th of February 2021, when we were returning from a road trip to Rajasthan. I planned a trip to celebrate Punita's 50th birthday in the run of Rajasthan, and when we were returning back near Vapi at 4 in the afternoon, our car got hit by a tanker and it turned around, and both me and Punita had serious injuries. When this happened, first reaction was, you really don't know what's happening. An accident is something which comes suddenly. You are never prepared for it. And immediately I knew that my feet were not moving and had no sensation below the knee joint. I also had a wound on my wrist here. This is the radial artery, and profuse bleeding happening here. And the first reaction, as it is told to us, was to stop bleeding, ABC, airway, breathing, and circulation. So I checked whether I was able to breathe. I stopped bleeding over here. And then I knew, there's something crazy happening with us. Punita was breathing well. She was able to talk. And I thought she's all right. The first problem, what starts after an accident, is that your seat belts get locked. That's a problem. And you can't unrelease the seat belts. With difficulty, I released my seat belt, came out of that. For Punita, we had to actually brake. And this is something which is very important. And those who are driving cars, I would ask them to carry a scissor in your glove pocket, because if an accident happens, shouldn't happen, but if it happens, you should be able to cut your seat belts and release yourself. You should also have a hammer in the car so that you can break the windshield and come out of the accident scene. So luckily, I could unlock ourselves. People gathered around. The first thing what I did was what I always do when I get up in the morning, is go back to my cell phone. I shouldn't be doing that, but that's a habit. And I checked it was working, and I made 3 quick phone calls. One phone call was to my brother-in-law, because I knew he knew somebody near Vapi. Second was my cousin who had a factory near Vapi. And third phone call was to Dr. Akhilesh Patel, the orthopedic surgeon who used to come and visit us at Bombay for Bombay Orthopedic Society's programs. And one small habit, could help me to access each one of them immediately, because I save phone numbers with person's name, his occupation, and where he stays. Mm-hmm. So Akhilesh Patel, Vapi, and Ortho was saved, and that allowed me to access his number immediately. So, there are small tips which can help us in times of emergencies. So second thing what I did was I shared my location on WhatsApp with each one of them. So they knew exactly what was the accident, where did it happen. There was a very kind gentleman called Bunty. He came around. They evacuated both of us. And being the surgeon, I knew with a spine injury how I should be evacuated. Okay, I checked our pulses, and immediately, as per as Akhilesh told us, you shift to a nearby hospital, Pardi Hospital, where Dr. Quresh is in charge. And in minutes, with today's social media, the news spread. At Pardi Hospital, they were ready for us with stretchers, fluids, oxygen, CT scans were done. The diagnosis was made. And, immediately it was decided that I'm going to go back to Bombay to Hinduja Hospital to be operated for my spinal injury. And Punita, having more serious injuries in her stomach, is going to stay back at Pardi, where my friend, Dr. Dhaval Desai from Surat, he arranged for a surgeon to come from Surat to Pardi, for her to be operated. So that was what happened initially.
Mhm.
I think what helps here is the training of mind. As surgeons, we are trained to take quick decisions. I remember as a small child, I used to be taking part in some of the adventure programs. I think our school took us to a Sinhagarh trip where we were literally tortured, but that adventure trip taught us how to, respond to a problem like this. Number of treks with Himanshu Prem into areas which were, very difficult, also prepared us mentally, I think. And lastly, what I feel is, lockdown, I could really take yoga practice very seriously. So all these small little things prepare us for an event like this to respond fully in a more responsible manner. Thanks, going back almost a year to the scene of accident.
Great, absolutely. And I really love that smile on your face today, which we've been seeing for so many years. But as you mentioned, yes, presence of mind, and which is very crucial. Of course, we keep criticizing cell phones and their overuse, but in such moments, they can be of so much help. So I think that was really great.
Yes.
And of course, Taral, your whole fraternity of friends and supporters and well-wishers, you have a network of them throughout the country. So you couldn't, reach out to 2 or 3 people who are nearby and who happily and, quickly responded. Sometimes when I hear of this, I feel, well, what happens to so many people in our country who don't have such a network and such people coming to their help quickly. So of course that was so wonderful, but also we need to maybe do a little introspection about the fate of vehicular accidents in India, across India, which is such a leading cause of, morbidity, mortality. But let me come to the next issue. So when we were talking about this webinar and we said, okay, let's give it a title of, I have looked at life from both sides now. So what are your initial feelings and thoughts about this title, and what does it mean to you? Hello? Am I
Spoke
audible?
about the accident after this. Hello, can you hear me, Santosh?
Yes, Taral.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I just recently met the Minister of State for Telecommunication at a program and sort of interacted with him and told them that all the vehicles which are produced in this country now, new, should have a button. They have a button where if you press, vehicle will come to repair your vehicle. If that is, but there is no button to convey to a nearest hospital that an accident has happened. So soon, cars are nowadays fitted with a chip, and there will be a facility. And I've just written a detailed letter to the minister to convey that there should be some mechanism by which, nearby hospitals and ambulances should know that an accident has happened nearby, and show the site of the accident so that the team can reach there immediately. And then with the advances in technology, it's not impossible. So this is something I wouldn't have thought of earlier. Looking at life from both sides is this is explained in Jainism. I never understood it till now. Anekantvad, it's a philosophy with which you look at one situation in different ways, with different hats, different faces, different eyes. So now when I'm faced with a situation, I've learned to look at it as a doctor, as a patient. When I'm having conversation with my son, I understand the conversation as a father, but also his point of view. So when I'm talking today, I'm talking as a speaker, but I am also aware of what goes on in the listener's minds. So that is a training, which last 1 year has given me to live life as a patient by a person who was actually a doctor. And if I write a book, it's going to be a lot of complaints, because I have a lot of complaints against doctors and hospitals. These are sweet complaints, things which can be improvised. As a doctor, I would have never noticed this, Santosh. How less time we give it to our patients. Sometimes we turn our ears off.
Correct.
When there are simple things which we ignore. As patients, I came to know of those things. And I feel that I'll be a better doctor now, since I have been a patient. So this title is most appropriate. And it applies not to just my accident, but so many things in life.
Absolutely. So life is always a big learning experience. Whatever comes your way, like you, we should always learn and become better. And so I would say, after going through such an experience, becoming a patient yourself, like the other patient that you have treated, you are probably a more complete doctor today than you were 2 years back. So I think I would say you are a more complete, you're going to be a more effective doctor today than you were after this mishap. Because as you rightly said, we don't, sometimes we just look at it from a medical point of view. And that's so very true. So having experienced that yourself, it's a completely new understanding. Absolutely. Before we ask you about the physical challenges that you faced, and to elaborate a bit about those, let me ask Snehal whether she wants to say something at this stage.
So yes, definitely. I'm honored and privileged to be a part of this program, and definitely it brings a lot of nostalgia to me. Taral, one question I would like to ask you. We all train ourselves as healthcare professionals. At different levels, parents train their children to excel in all the fields. This particular quality of resilience, what we call, how can we develop that? How can one develop and maintain his level of fitness in all aspects and be prepared for any eventuality which he or she has to face in life?
Yeah.
I don't know. This is like, how does Sachin Tendulkar, prepares himself for a bouncer, which he has never faced in life. Accidents are something you cannot prepare for. There are eventually, things happen in life which people were not ready for. Earthquake happened in Kutch, where all of us went. Nobody was prepared for that. But the event trains you. Of course, there has to be a background check. If you are healthy, it helps. If you are fit, it helps. If you are mentally sound, it helps. If you can keep it cool during that time, it helps. But I think rather than we learning before the experience, what you learn through the experience, that helps the most. And I think people can respond to situations as they come. So when a situation like this happens, when me and Punita both were, we had an accident, and I being a doctor had its plus and minus points. If you're a doctor, you know what's going to happen and you're ready for it. But where ordinary patients, sometimes a doctor is more than aware, and that's why doctors in life. And these are the situations in life. So, to answer it, in a short summary and to the point, of course, I don't feel that everybody is going to have accident, but as you age, diseases are there to come. I think everyone who's here today, people who are going to listen to this through YouTube or Facebook, or eventually get access to this through some means, I would say that it's imperative to be healthy so that you can also face your illnesses and accidents in a very positive spirit, so that you can take proper choices. You can make proper choices when the situation arises, and you can still be happy, smiling, in spite of what is going on.
Yeah.
Yes, I hope
think that's absolutely well said. I mean, I think beyond the age of 50, Taral, one thing you should keep yourself prepared for is for lightning to strike out of the blue. It could be a malignancy detected suddenly. It could be an accident. And you very rightly mentioned that all that you can do is keep your body and mind in readiness to cope with that lightning strike to the best of your ability. So I think that's a very crucial thing to do. And I like the word you used, imperative. It is imperative to keep your body in shape as much as you can to face eventualities that may come your way.
and Santosh, it's not just body. It's not just body and mind. It's body, mind, and spirit. And all three go hand in hand. Health of all the three things go hand in hand.
Okay. So body, yes, we know, exercise, fitness, good eating, good day. What do you have to say briefly, since we are discussing this now? How do you keep your mind fit and how do you keep your spirit fit?
So there are many ways to do it, and many sort of accesses to keeping your mind fit and your spirit fit. And the way I was introduced was initially, some lessons in spirituality in my earlier life, but last few years it has been yoga, practicing it mindfully, as Snehal would call it, doing whatever you do mindfully. And it's not just during that half an hour or 1 hour yoga session. It happens every moment of your life, should be mindful. And that's the training which you receive.
Snehal, any comments? Mindfulness, heartfulness, a brief comment?
So yes, I think it is what you do with your spirit when you're one and when you're aware of, as he rightfully said, it's what really prepares you to take up anything what happens in life. So it is all about preparation. You cannot go to a battlefield and say, oh, now I want to search for something. You have to be prepared for any eventuality at any time in life. And that preparation, that inner preparation, more than the outer preparation, is something what being heartful or doing meditation or looking at your inner journey helps you. As much as we look at our external journeys, I think looking at our internal journeys reflectively is something which really helps a person in all his aspects of life. So Taral, what is it that you did for your mind? You said yoga, you did meditation. What are the different factors? What are the different, it has to be a discipline, right? So what were the different aspects of your discipline in life which came into picture?
So I'll tell you, a lot of people tell me, Taral, you had willpower, grit. I don't think it's all about that. It's I think what happened after the accident and then I got operated and when I was recuperating is just surrender. I think surrender to what's happening around you and make your efforts. That works the best in certain times. However hard you try, it doesn't work. But if you surrender to what's happening, what your doctors want you to do, what your therapists want you to do, don't resist it. Just go with the flow, and doors open up. And that is what happened in my case. I never. This is all my life I've tried very hard, worked very hard. I was from a vernacular medium and I had to work hard in my 11th and 12th to get admission. in MBBS because the language changed. It was all about proving yourself, coming to the top and making sure that you are doing better than the others. Here, there was no competition, Santosh. We are all from GS Medical College, and how fierce the competition is before the college and more so after the college when you come into practice.
Yeah.
And you always try to, do better and better and better. But here was you are in no competition with anybody. And all that what came to my mind is just let me go with the flow, observe what's happening around as an observer and do your best, whatever is possible in the circumstances. Of course, when you're doing that, it's not you alone. It's not me. It becomes we. You turn M around and it becomes V. M becomes W. So me becomes V. And you realize that everyone around comes to help. When we had an accident, I realized that people who don't even know you come and help you. In the hospital, the doctors you have never met, but they've heard about you and how the things were done. When I came to Hinduja, so my mind was very active till the time I reached Hinduja Hospital. And then there was my friend, Dr. Samir Dalvi. We've studied together since 11th standard. And he operated on me and I just surrendered to him. He was my God. I said, I'm not taking any more decisions. He knows best what is for me. And then Dhruv Mehta joined me. He's a physiotherapist, and a friend. But he stayed with me for 15 days at Hinduja, day in and out, guiding me to the principles of rehabilitation, correcting me, motivating me. And I surrendered to him. I said, Dhruv, whatever you say is fine. He made a list of 51 things I have to do every day. I still have that paper. And I did those 51 things before I slept. So people who stayed with me that time, Lincoln is here, Pritesh was there with me, Kiran was there. They know that they were there, to support me, and but they would sleep sometimes, tired whole night, but I would do my exercises, meditation, all that I had to do. Dr. Borkar and her team at Hinduja, they worked hard on me, and I did everything they wanted me to do. It happens, Santosh, many times that you want to give up. All of us are human beings. All parents of patients with spina bifida here and people with spina bifida. Anyone here who has gone through some illness, self or in family, would realize that it is human to give up.
Yeah.
And it happens to all of us. It has happened to biggest warriors also. And these are the times where you need to think back, relax. And as Punita would say, take in a deep breath in and out. And that puts you back onto the path. So a number of people help you. Ketna Mehta, you need to talk to people who have similar problems. Ketna is on wheelchair. She's also a person with spinal cord injury. And she founded Nina Foundation. I spoke to her. And she told me, Taral,
right.
Visualization. She taught me the art of
just
visualization.
put their mics on mute, requesting all to put their mics on mute. Yes, Taral, go on.
Yeah. And Anju Venkat from the Health Awareness Center, she came. I had very painful paresthesia, Santosh. I couldn't sleep at night. Medicines were not working. And she explained to me the magic of rose water, compresses on the feet, and that took away my pain. She taught me about diet, what I should be eating. For nerve regeneration, she told me take a lot of dry fruits, and I did. And small little things from everywhere helped. Snehal and Dr. Alpa Dalal took my lessons on spirituality.
Great.
And, and help came from all the sources. Like Vandana, my wife's friend from Boston, arranged for consultation with a rehab specialist. Dr. Nirmal Surya called up and told me to take gabapentin. Dr. Srivastava, who's from IFNR, he came and he gave me a whole recipe of my rehab program for 6 months. And he told me it's not just important to exercise for your lower limbs, your lungs and hearts also have to become strong. So it's an overall package, and it's not one person. I think it's the entire team which is at work here. And like, many of you may know this apps called, Dream 11 and virtual cricket and things like that. I think I was lucky that I was able to pick up a team for myself, which went beyond the hospitals I was admitted. People who guided me and made me reach where I am today. So a big thanks to each one of them. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, Taral. I think what you mentioned, surrendering to the doctor, is very crucial. As we know that as doctors, we make very bad patients. That's the usual belief, that if you are a doctor, then you make a bad patient because you are questioning the doctors treating you about so many things, questioning the dose, whether it's right, whether it's should be more, should be low. But getting the best out of your treatment happens when you surrender to the doctor. And it's not easy for a doctor to surrender completely to another doctor, even if he's a good friend, is sometimes a bit tricky. I was recently diagnosed with hypertension, and then, the leading cardiologist was a friend treating me. But at times I felt, is this dose a bit too high? Should I be telling him, don't put it? So we have these issues, but very true. Surrender, and accept things as they are. And you mentioned about the support from various quarters, which of course helps. So
and you need to garner this support, Santosh, to each,
correct.
Parents, I would say that go beyond your team of professionals.
Yeah.
There are people in world, there is an organization, International Spina Bifida Association, there is a national organization. Meet people who have similar problems, talk to them. And talk to professionals all across, take help from different stream, not just allopathy, So, Dr. Walia from, homeopathy, I used to take medicine. Orthopedic was my body have good proteins, and Zubin, Nita, so a lot of guiding forces, and you need to reach out to everyone. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Chandana is also with us, and she's a patient. She's not a patient, an individual with Spina Bifida, doing so well. Chandana, would you like to ask Taral from the Spina Bifida perspective, any thoughts and questions?
Yes, sir. First of all, Dr. Taral, it's been such an honor to be a part of this journey. Just the fact when I was editing the video, it truly felt like I was actually doing the journey with you. And every step you take, it's like I'm cheering on the background. Oh, yes, he's the first time he's walking, he's the first time he's standing. So truly an honor and a privilege. Since I am representing Spina Bifida Foundation and all of my friends, I would like to ask you, what are the similarities or dissimilarities do you think your last year has had with all the Spina Bifida individuals, or the regular issues that they go through, or the problems that they face?
Chandana, I was just listening to what Dr. Karmakar said about you. So one thing which similar between you and me is painting and creativity. I really, was happy to hear that. But on medical front, I would say that what I underwent, a spinal cord injury, and a person with Spina Bifida, a lot of similarities. I had a spine surgery, rods in my spine. Similarly, a Spina Bifida child at birth would undergo a surgery to remove the meningomyelocele or a tumor which is seen at birth. Many other spinal surgeries that person may undergo throughout the life. Another similarity is affection of the lower limbs, affection of sensation and motor power. It's one thing not to be able to move a leg, but it's another thing not to be able to feel your leg. This is another similarity which comes between Spina Bifida and my situation. The third injury is, not able to control your bladder and bowel movements. I was on indwelling catheter for 3 weeks. And it's not a good feeling. When you see a patient, you don't realize it, but when you experience it yourself, you realize. And CSIC, Dr. Karmakar, we have taught CSIC to so many patients, and we feel it's the easiest procedure. I would say, being a doctor, I know it's a toughest procedure. And my bladder was hyper irritable, and to put that K90 catheter or a soft catheter on your own, waking up somebody, getting everything together, you're not able to walk and take everything. So you are on the bed, and then you have to wake up everyone, give me the jelly, give me the gloves, get the catheter ready and insert it. And sometimes it goes in the right track, sometimes it doesn't go in the right track. Urine comes out sometimes urine doesn't come out. And there are feelings of frustration. And I realize how difficult it is to do a CSIC. And now, when I advise any patient with spina bifida about CSIC, I tell him, friend, it's not easy. I have gone through it myself, but you have to do it because that is what keeps your bladder decompressed. That is what is going to prevent a urinary infection. That is what is going to protect your kidneys. And this is something, though it's difficult, frustrating, boring, we still have to keep doing it. Fortunately, 2 months down the line, suddenly, Dr. Karnad from Jupiter Hospital, he realized that my bladder was recovering, and they put me on certain medications so that my bladder contractions would improve, and then I was free of CSIs. So it's very important that, again, the right guidance, the right sort of advice which a pediatric surgeon can give to a person who has a bladder problem with spina bifida, it can improve the life. So a lot of similarities here. The dissimilarity, unfortunately, is that I lived just 1 year and have recovered. For a person with spina bifida, it's the entire life. Having weakness in legs, having decreased sensations, having sores in the feet, having bed sores, having urinary problems, and all this with a normal mind and a heart which wants to fly. So, you want to do everything and your feet don't support that dream. So that kind of frustration feeling, and I relate to it very much now.
Mhm.
Any inputs from you, Chandana? How do you think now, since you've seen my video and met me?
Yeah.
What do you think is the similarity and differences between our lives?
Yes, sir. What you said is really right about the fact that it's not about the willpower, or it's not about the bravery or the courage, because it does feel good when people call you brave or courageous. But like you said, I couldn't agree more that it's all about being surrendering to it. Just the fact that it has happened and how to get the best out of the situation and how to make your body and mind be best friends with each other. Because I think that's quite the hard part. The mind listens, but the body doesn't, or the other way around. So finding camaraderie between those two, I think you have shown it to the world, sir. At least you have shown it to me during the whole editing process. I have seen it quite nicely. And if I may, I would also like to ask you, you have gone through all of this while being a doctor. You are a doctor when you have gone through the accident, the post-recovery and everything. So what are the changes that you had to make in your professional career from pre-surgery to post-surgery? I'm sure, yeah.
So it's both ways. I think it was my professional passion which allowed me to recover. You shared some of the photographs in the video. And 3 months down the line, when I was still at Jupiter, admitted in the neuro rehab center, I think Dr. Dumale is here, Amit Dumale. He's a rehab expert, and they have a neuro rehab department. I was admitted for 3 months, and Dr. Thakkar came and told me, Taral, you have to start seeing a patient because your patients need you and you need your patients. So I think whenever you are recovering, there has to be a purpose in that recovery, which is very, very important. And for me, that purpose I found in going back to my profession. And it was not easy because I couldn't walk. So I got a wheelchair, and then I knew that wheelchair was cumbersome. So I got myself an electrical wheelchair on which I would, go across the hospital from my ward to the OPD, and I started seeing patients. I was not really sure how would the patients and the parents would accept that. We want certain people in life to be perfect. We want our actors and actresses to be perfect. We want our cricketers to be perfect, and we want our doctors to be perfect, immaculately dressed, proper mannerisms. And it's very difficult. It was very difficult for me to imagine how would parents and patients accept a doctor who is on a wheelchair. But I'm glad they did.
Yes.
And patients waited for the surgeries. In fact, the first surgery which I did, I was still a patient at the hospital, admitted, and still I was a doctor who operated. And this was the son of an orthopedic surgeon. That was the first surgery I did. And the need to do more, gave me a sense of purpose that I had to stand and operate. I had to be able to walk around the operation table, and that allowed me to do more and more in terms of my rehab to, get the results. So that was what my profession did to my condition, what my condition did to my profession. Now, as I recovered more and more, I realized that, what really helped me to come through this period was my team. Dr. Jaideep Damele, who was my co-partner in my practice, he managed the entire practice, my team, Nivedita and Anuradha and all the staff, they managed my clinic. Vijay, in fact, went a step ahead. Not only he used to help me with my surgeries and record keeping, but he stayed with me for 3 months. So it was a Corona time, no friends, no relatives. Vijay was the one who stayed with me for 3 months and looked after me, like a younger brother. So, you realize the importance of the team here, and you realize the importance of discipline. So, as Dr. Karmakar mentioned, I would go to all the hospitals, run around here and there. But, I started saying that this is what I'm going to do, a disciplined life. To be available at one hospital in a day, because I can't do running around. And cut down on number of attachments, be a detached person. Snehal, when you say detachment, it also means reducing your attachments you have to different hospitals. So a certain amount of discipline comes to your life, waking up hours, the practice hours, the eating time, the exercise time, the sleeping time. And one thing I would like to mention here when I'm talking about sleeping, when you talk of healing, it is not about just hospitals. It is not about the rehab. It is not about medicines. It's not about exercise. It's also about rest. And adequate rest is very, very important for good healing. So this is how I modified my practice. I know that I'm not going to be able to travel like before, but I can video consult. I know that I will not be able to go for conferences across India and across world, but I know I can take a lecture through Zoom and continue teaching. So there has been a change, and a welcome change in my life because of the accident. Thank you.
So Taral, do you think you have become much more disciplined than you were before the accident?
So not only I feel, my wife also feels. So there is a testimony.
So maybe
to the whole process.
even
The people around me feel.
Even prepare for eventualities, even before they happen. Maybe leading disciplined lives might help even beforehand. So no, one more thing. One more comment. You said you don't know whether you'll go for conferences. I think I know that you will. Maybe not as many, but certainly many conferences to come. Also that you underwent all this in the Corona times, when life for everybody, for everything was so much more difficult and complicated. So I think that's another factor we need to give you credit for, that it was through this Corona time. I remember we wanted to come and see you after your accident, couple of times I connected, but then we had this fear about, we taking corona to you in the hospital and so on. Another thing, you said wheelchair, you don't know how patients will look at a doctor on a wheelchair. I feel spina bifida patient will be very happy to see that the treating doctor, the expert, is like them. So I think as far as spina bifida, I think patients will be, they will probably identify with the people who are similar situations to them. Yes, was it Snehal saying something? No.
No.
Can I ask anything? Any questions we can ask?
Yeah, we are going to come to questions soon. Okay. So the other thing, Taral, we wanted your views on is, what is the role of support groups? You mentioned a team, creating a team, but what do you feel in such situations, or for when we talk about spina bifida and their rehabilitation and recuperation, how important do you think support groups, peers groups like the Nina Foundation, and what kind of role did they play and what kind of role should they play?
So this is very, very important because, as I said, that medicine is not miracle. Hospitals are beyond healing. What really matters, is the entire environment and support group which come. Now, for me, because I'm from this profession, I also deal with patients who have disability. I already knew, working at Jupiter, already knew neuro rehabilitation exists. I knew certain things. I had connect, and that made a big difference to my recovery. What I feel that for every person, this support systems should exist. Now, because not all of them are doctors, they cannot create this support systems on their own. Not everyone will be savvy enough to go to net and search. They will not be able to do that. And it's our job. It's our job, job of foundations like Spina Bifida Foundation, to create this system of information, of guidance, of advice, wherever they are being treated, by whichever doctor, whichever hospital, whichever part of the country or the world they are from. It's possible for us to hold their hand and give them the right advice, mentorship, courage, and also connect them to people who have similar problems. Like tell them that it's you can still live in spite of all these issues, and be happy and do well in life. So a parent support group or a patient support group, or a structure where support is available makes a lot of difference. If many such support groups are created by the government across the world, but if government has their hands full, with other responsibilities and work, I think it's our job to create these support groups. And I'm sure that the Spina Bifida Foundation has done a great job, with this respect of holding hands, doing conferences, giving information on the website, having videos, publications, and the way Dr. Karmakar does, online advice and consultation. Prevention, not just treatment, but also for prevention. And if this happens to every medical problem, the lives of patients would be very, very different. So, I would say that those who have undergone a problem, a disease, like I have undergone spinal cord injury, it's my duty to make sure that other people who have a similar problem, I have to hold their hands. It is just like how in MBBS, once I passed my third MBBS, I would pass on my notes to the person who's appearing for exam next.
Yeah.
And it's a job that the notes must be exchange, and the process must go on.
Yeah, very true. So Chandana, maybe you can briefly tell about your experience when you connected with the Spina Bifida Foundation in that conference, and you do mention how it felt. So just since a lot of SB people are here, maybe you can just quickly tell about that.
Yes, sir. I had the wonderful opportunity to attend the Delhi conference that took place back in 2018, August, I believe. And the initial plan was for me to stay back at home and my parents to attend it so that they could have a community, they could meet new doctors and new parents, because as much as it's difficult for the kids, it's much, much harder for the parents because the conversation between the two, it's strained a little bit. They don't want to talk about how they are feeling. They don't want to talk about whether they're worried. So I think they're very looking forward to having that kind of community. But one of the doctors, Dr. Alaric Arusa, he is one of the friends from orthopedic surgeons who are very well connected to me and my family since I was a baby. And he made a proposition to make sure that I come to the meeting as well. And best decision ever, hands down. I met so many incredible people, all of the group that we have currently in the WhatsApp, so many wonderful, inspiring people. And also first time we had a sense of belongingness. I'm from a small town, so I don't know anybody who went through the same things or even remotely visible physical alterations in my lifetime. So to see all the people doing the best things they can while being who they are and showing themselves proud and beautiful, it was truly inspiring in and out. So wonderful community that Spina Bifida has created. Thank you so much, Dr. Karmakar sir. Truly.
Oh, great. I mean, yes, I think we all have seen that, when you meet and interact with people in similar situations, I think it makes a very good, positive impact on both sides. I mean, both of them feel so well. One small little observation when we are talking of similarities, dissimilarities between what Taral you underwent and what a Spina Bifida individual from birth. One thing maybe which is a positive for the Spina Bifida person who's born with Spina Bifida is, to many things, whether they are something with your body or with your mind, as a child, you have this incredible capacity to adapt and to accept and, so CIC started early at the age of 3, 4, 5, you will find it that children are so happy, by the age of 5, 6, they are quite comfortable with the CIC. So there's probably a little bit of an advantage to adapt to these difficult situations as a child. As a child, you tend to accept things more in a more better and quicker and positive way. As an adult, I think it's at times more difficult. People like Taral, of course, have that positivity and approached it in a very, very, as he said, surrender, accept, disciplined way. But as an adult, it's sometimes difficult because adults are not just white and black. There are many gray areas. If you are in pain, a child is crying. If he's not in pain, a child is laughing. In an adult, we have so many other psychological issues to deal with. Before we go to questions, Taral, let's ask Snehal for a few thoughts, comments. Snehal?
So I think Dr. Taral has said it all. And this journey from illness to wellness is something what he's really highlighted. I think thinking of a community together, walking the way together is extremely important. So Dr. Taral, you want to say something about this I to we or the Ubuntu philosophy, I am because we all are. Do you want to say something on that?
Yeah, so of course, it's all about we now, the support and care, family, parents, children, your friends, doctors, colleagues. But to be, very honest, Snehal, it's a journey with I, which I cherish the most during what happened. The thing is, Corona. So I was alone in my neuro rehab ward for 3 months. And all the therapies would happen 9 in the morning to 6 in the evening. So you're very busy, tired, 6, 7 sessions of therapy a day. After 6, you eat your dinner, and 7:30, it's pin drop silence. As if this reminded me of my days at Igatpuri, when I did Vipassana, that you are in a small Kal Kotri, without anyone to talk to you, no communication. And that's where you start journey with yourself. So, of course, people are important, support is important, family is important, friendships are important. But spending time with you alone is also very important. And I'm really thankful to this accident, I should say, or this event. It had to happen, but it has opened new doors for me. Of course, what happens is as time passes by, you get involved with the community, practice, day-to-day routine, friends, parties, conferences. And it's very difficult to catch your eye. And this is where a regular practice comes into picture. So there are at least some part of my life, some few hours, few minutes, I want to go back to I, be with my own self, and go within and enjoy those moments. The moments which I really enjoyed, being in the hospital with me and myself. Thank you.
Yeah, so we all keep talking about the need to have some me time,
Yes.
which we got and we lose in our day-to-day hectic lives. I mean, we try to find more and more time for ourselves, which we don't get. But I think we all need to make that conscious effort. And Taral was in a way lucky to get so much me time, and it emphasized the importance of that. So I think, yes, Snehal, we should all seek more and more me time, which you keep telling us as heartfulness. But yes, that's so very true. Shall we take some questions from the audience? So I'm going to request anybody who wants to ask a question, please unmute yourself and ask the question. And not everyone at the same time, but one by one, please. Yes, Ivy.
Hello.
Hi, Ivy.
Can you hear me? I'm audible. Dr. Taral,
Yes.
Praise God.
Yes,
You are
yes.
hale and hearty. Being in the group, we were not knowing about this accident. Even when the webinar was organized, that time only we came to know. Otherwise, earlier we would have prayed for you and all. One more thing, it is a big challenge for you. Means we have heard of the Spina Bifida disability. There are doctors, there are patients, but for you it is something different. And how you cope up with your present life, as a doctor doing the surgeries. I think maybe are you depending on others? Maybe your wife is also having some health issues. How you cope up with that, and also how your vehicle has been modified or what? Are you driving? Are you able to drive now? That way, and also you were in the hospital for maybe 3 months, 4 months. You are saying in Jupiter. What is your health insurance? Do you had? What is the thing?
I'll answer all these questions. First of all, I'm very happy to say, even I didn't know this earlier, that the health insurance does provide for rehabilitation at home after surgery, and also rehabilitation in a hospital as an inpatient after the surgery for almost 2 to 3 months. So it depends on what insurance you have, but when you take an insurance, make sure that it also provides for your medicines, for your treatment, for your rehabilitation after the surgery, which is very, very important, and very few people know about it. The second question was coping up. I would say that I'm able to do everything by myself. I go to hospital on my own, come back on my own. I do my own surgeries, have bath on my own. and once in a while I can also cook for Punita, though she takes care of me in a complete manner. As far as driving is concerned, I can drive because I have now some foot control, but for my safety and to be able to drive a long distance through the traffic, I use a hand control car. This has been developed by a friend Ferdy, and in my existing car, we could fit a hand control device so that my acceleration and brake is controlled by my hand, and it's an automatic car. So, though somebody can drive you, a family member can drive you, driver can drive you, can go in an Ola. Until the time you don't drive yourself, I was not feeling completely independent. And, I decided that I want to drive my own car, and he made this modification. So a lot of technological help is available for people who have challenges. There are some of the challenges you can overcome on your own. There are some challenges which remain. And I think no one should feel shy in taking help of the technology. The second part, one more thing which have helped me in technology is using carbon fiber ankle foot orthosis. So I can wear them within my shoe, which allows me to stand for hours together, do a 6 hour, 7 or 8 hour surgery. It allows me to walk. I've come to my farmhouse right now. It allows me to climb uphill, climb down without any support. So, lots of innovations have happened in technology, and one should take help of them, because ultimate aim is to lead a happy, independent life, which is fulfilling, and anything for that.
So can these be also used by spina bifida patients, these carbon fiber which you mentioned, the orthosis?
Yeah, so the advantage of carbon fiber orthosis is it's lightweight and it has spring system. They are not static AFOs. To be able to use, for spina bifida, people with spina bifida, those who have low spina bifida, L5S1, these will be helpful. But we should take help of orthotic and prosthetic engineer. For me, number of them guided me. Pankaj Sinha, he made my orthosis. Mukesh Doshi made my spinal orthosis, and Mr. Dantala provided me with supporting devices, helped me with the wheelchair. So it's important to talk to them, tell them your problems, so that they can come up with solutions.
Yeah. Do we have any more questions from the audience? Is Dr. Alaric in the audience? If he is, maybe if he wants to say something.
Sir, can I?
Yes, we can have you. Yes, Hope.
Yes, sir, I'm Hope.
Can introduce yourself, Hope, a little bit?
Sir, I'm Hope's mother. Hope is my daughter. I'm Shilpi. I'm from Dehradun, currently living in Gurgaon. And Hope is a spina bifida child. She's born with spina bifida. So as Sir said, as Taral Sir said, how patients will see him in wheelchair. I just want to say that, my daughter who wants to become a doctor, and especially she wants to go in, she wants to treat all spina bifida children, because, their journey, she's 11 years old now, and what is their struggle and everything. So after seeing all of it, she says that she wants to become a doctor, especially for spina bifida. So I think, sir, you'll be an inspiration for such children who wants to become a doctor, who themselves are born with spina bifida. And if they see a doctor on a wheelchair, you will be a great inspiration for them. So hats off to you, sir, for coming out of that accident and coming back, to your hospital and hospital life and starting your practicing again.
Yes,
yeah, so thanks, mother. Where there is a will, there is a way, and of course, where there is a wheel, there is a way. So, please encourage your child not to be limited by any life.
Yes, sir, definitely. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So Shilpi, the first lady head of department of neurosurgery in the United States, is a spina bifida lady.
Yes, sir, I've met her, sir. I met
Yeah.
her in the conference.
Yes. No,
Yes.
the one you met was Margot Whiteford from UK.
Yes, sir.
She's also a
Very well.
pediatric geneticist
Yes.
and a doctor and wheelchair bound. But
Okay.
there's another neurosurgeon in US, the first lady HOD, Spina
Okay.
Bifida, a doctor and a
Okay.
surgeon. So
Okay.
there's sky is the limit. No
Yes,
problem.
definitely. Yes, sir.
And,
Definitely.
and lovely Taral, your line is we are going to use it. Where there's a wheel, there's a way. So it's
Yes.
a great line. Okay. There's any more questions?
So
Yes,
there is
Dr.
one
Fatima.
question. There's one question which is asked by Dr. Shiv Kumar Lalwani.
Yeah.
Hi, Taral, how was your wife's journey? How she also coped up with her injuries?
Yeah, she's here. I think I would like.
Yes.
So, she had a difficult time, abdominal surgeries and bilateral heel fracture. She was also on a wheelchair for 4 months. And then once she became all right, she started looking after me. But, even during those times, the life was still with us. In fact, we went on a wheelchair date to a restaurant for a dinner, which was down the line, close to the hospital. So she was my inspiration, and I know that when times were difficult for me and I was alone, I would just imagine that she's sitting next to me and just inspiring me to go ahead and not back out. She's doing well, very well.
Is she there with you? Would she like to
Yeah,
say something if she can
Yeah.
wants to? I mean, that would be nice. Hello,
Yeah,
Purita.
I'm
So
here.
nice to see you.
Hello, Dr. Karmakar. Yeah, nice seeing you. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, if there are no more questions, just a few final.
Can I ask one question?
Yes. Is that Fatima? Who's there?
Yes.
Okay.
Dr. Fatima here.
Yeah.
Dr. Taral, nice to have you and hear you all through. Just been waiting to do that. And thanks to Spina Bifida Foundation for such a wonderful organization. And today's talk, which will help and inspire so many people more. Dr. Taral, you have been in the field of disability since a long time. And my question to you is there any instance, any cases, any patients, any parents who have motivated you, whom you have thought about this during this journey? Would you like be able to share something if that has happened with you during your tough times?
Absolutely. So, I would say some of my patients in past, they have been source of encouragement. Sometimes we marvel at they do in spite of what they are. For example, Dr. Hussain, Fatima's son, born with, he had cerebral palsy, but his willpower, his understanding of the subject and the ability to laugh off a situation. I remember he once came to a clinic on a scooter and he had an injury, and then from the train, and then he still came for work when he was working with a Muskan Charitable Trust. He came laughing. His shirt was torn apart, but the smile was still there. And these are the instances which build us up. At the same time, when I was admitted in the neuro rehab center, looking at other patients who were there, there was a girl called Simran who had dorsal, I would not, it's a different name, but patients with different problems, some worse than mine, and how they were coping up with the situation, and their parents and family were dealing with them, makes you very humble. So we learn from everybody, and for doctors, I think parents are, we would confess that they are a biggest source of purpose and inspiration. Okay. Karmakar, what would you say to that? Patients being a source of inspiration and passion and courage for us.
I think absolutely. I mean, especially when we interact with spina bifida patients who, in spite of all the hurdles that they face, have achieved so much. It makes us, in fact, I tell every other patient when after they see me and they have a surgery and it's gone well, they say, thank you, thank you. I tell them it's not me you have to thank, but I thank you for inspiring us to try and do so much more. I mean, and you have, in spite of the hurdles, done so much. So I think every patient, especially of spina bifida, is a solid source of inspiration to doctors, to us who are meeting them, talking to them. It's a living source of inspiration. So we take a lot of inspiration. I regularly do. And I keep telling other patients that, you know, some small illness, a little appendicectomy, appendicitis. I said, please don't crib about some of these small things. Look at this patient next to you, look at this person, and then all your trivial problems become, you know, reduced. So I think, yes, it's a great, they are great sources of inspiration. Before, I mean, it's almost 2:30, so we can go on and on and on, and I'm sure we'll still enjoy to be listening to Taral. We still have about 84 participants who are still on the program and listening in. But two final sort of, you know, summary comments, if I could say that. A few landmark moments during your last 1 year. 2-3 landmark moments which you thought were something, you know, special. And 2 or 3 ways, you have mentioned some of this, but 2 or 3 ways in which your perspectives on life, on work, on things have changed. So if you could summarize 2 or 3 landmark moments and a few perspectives that have changed in you.
Okay. So very quickly, a couple of landmark moments. One, when I walked for the first time. And this was not on land, but in water. So, you know, one more sort of a therapy which I tried was aquatherapy. And I couldn't walk on land without a support, walker or a support. And in the water I go, and suddenly I experienced that, oh, I can stand without support and walk. And that was a moment, a eureka moment. So when you go in water, it's not necessary that Archimedes only will say eureka. Even Taral Nagda can say eureka. And I realized that I can stand and walk. So that moment of realization is very important for each one of us. You know, when that realization comes, actually it will happen. And my life's learnings, now I've realized that everything in life is temporary. You know, nothing is permanent. Your being able to run and go places also not permanent, but at the same time, your paralysis is also not permanent. You know, things do change. What we need to do is keep cool and keep working through, be happy, be contented, and keep living life, whatever happens.
Absolutely. So Snehal, any closing thoughts? And after that, I'm going to request all to unmute themselves and give a great round of applause. After Snehal's words, we are going to have a great round of applause for Taral, for his achievements, for his coming back and doing his work, great work that he used to do. So Snehal first.
I can just say that tough times don't last, but tough people do. And what makes a person tough is just what all Taral has told us. Thank you, Taral.
So a round of applause. Please unmute yourself, everyone.
It's a standing applause.
Yes, standing applause.
Thank you, Taral. Thank you. You are a living example.
Yeah, great, Taral. So you heard
Taral.
Yes.
Very motivating. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Can I request Sneha to sort of wind up and close the meeting? Sneha?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I will do that.
Can we have a picture if everyone who is comfortable can switch on their videos? Can we have a
Sir, please allow me to do switch on my video.
Please start. You can put on your videos now. Excellent.
I'll do a quick countdown from 3 to 1 and everybody please smile. We'll take a picture.
Please smile and say, I mean, give a thumbs up to Taral. So we are going to take a picture. Chandana, you're going to do it.
Yes, sir. 3, 2, 1. Thanks, everyone. Yeah, it's good.
Okay. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
Snehal, to you.
At the end of this wonderful talk, I want to share with you some lines of one beautiful poem, Don't Quit. When things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you are trudging all uphill, when the funds are low and the debts are high, and you want to smile but you have to sigh, when care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but don't you quit. I think so. This is like don't quit at all in any situation, in anywhere. After his talk, I felt didn't quit at all. He fought well and he came back in action. Now we move to.
You are on mute, Sneha. You have gone on mute.
Okay. I hope you have heard whatever I want to say.
Yes, we heard the poem. All right.
Okay. After his talk, I felt he didn't quit at all. He fought well and he came back in action. Now we move to the end of this talk. I would like to thank all the participants for showering so much love, and I got so many calls that many more wanted to join this webinar. But because of our limit, we were not aware of this, that we had 100 participants who can join for this webinar. But we'll make sure we will upload this talk on YouTube soon. And I would like to, of course, thank Dr. Taral sir for giving such a wonderful, inspirational talk. And I would like to thank Dr. Santosh Karmakar sir for coordinating this whole talk wonderfully. And of course, Dr. Snehal ma'am for taking time out of her busy schedule and participate in this talk. And not but the least, Miss Chandana, not only for participating in this talk, but also for promoting this webinar well. Actually, Chandana, you did a good job. And for making the video, invite, etc. For everything, Chandana, you deserve a clap. Thank you once again to all. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
So
Sneha,
I just want to say a few
coordinating.
words, Santosh.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Last
sir.
Yes,
two
sir.
lines.
Yes.
2 lines for all families of people with spina bifida and people with spina bifida. Just 2 lines.
Yes.
वाकिफ कहाँ जमाना हमारी उड़ान से, वो और थे जो हार गए आसमान से. So we want to fly so high, and we are not going to be defeated even by the sky. Thank you.
Yes, wonderful.
Wonderful, Taral.
Yes.
Excellent. So,
Thank you, sir.
thank you, everyone.
Yes.
And yeah, we look forward to meeting again soon.
Happy weekend to all.
Yeah,